Get some tables along this side there. Or here.
Oh, God.
Are they? Do we sell them all?
I think there might be some stacked
Or-
up.
or- Where's, I suppose ours will be the next to go.
Yeah.
This Saturday, they'll sell ours and we won't have any chairs. That won't hurt. That means we gotta go somewhere else.
I'm putting blue tape on this one. We have at least until April.
Not necessarily. I could see a special meeting coming around. I think we'd all go for it too. Take time for it.
All right, I've got 6:30. Let's call the meeting to order and start off with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation. It's all All right. Well, let's move on to item number 3, consideration and approval of the agenda. I know I've got a couple things that I'd like to add. Consideration would be 11.6, no mold way. And I would like to combine 11.5 and 11.1, and maybe have to make 11.1 the, and 11.5A, being they're both talking about the potential administrative assistant. So.
And I would like to add, then would be 11.7, discussion and possible action on water rate and cost of service studies.
Can I just say, I think the discussion is fair, but taking action, I mean, let's hear it, but taking action, I sometimes feel like I don't have enough time to, without any attachments, but I'm not, yeah, I'm just saying that because I always say that. All right, thank you for respecting that.
What number was that?
11.
That'd be 11.7.
And then I do have one more. I'd like to move item number 5.1, prior to item number 4.
So like
Above public.
3.5.
Yeah. Are there any further changes from council? Would someone like to make a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion from Dave and second from Kyle. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, at this point in time, we would like to extend, recognize our retired firefighters. And before I invite each of you up, I just wanted to say that on behalf of Pine City, I want to extend our deepest gratitude to our retired firefighters for their years of dedicated service and sacrifice to our community. Your bravery, commitment, and countless hours of hard work have made Pine City a safer place for all of us. We honor and appreciate your years of service and thank you for the lasting impact you have. And at this point in time, at this point in time, I'll scooch around front here and then we have a little bit of a plaque to get.
Yeah, do this.
Mike Erickson, are you here? Not here.
He is not feeling well, and we'll pick it up in City Hall.
Perfect, thank you. Travis Stransky.
Maybe get a group picture. Okay.
She wants to get a picture of you too.
Oh. Just do a group.
Jeff Young. Live. Justin John. And Mark Tolles.
government.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we will move on to item number 4 on the agenda. This is the public forum. This is the opportunity for citizens to present items to the council that are not on the agenda. Each presentation is limited to 3 minutes and a maximum of 15 minutes will be set aside. If your item needs follow-up from city staff, staff will arrange for that time. Is there anybody here that would like to step forward for public forum? I will ask again, is there anybody present that would like to step forward for public forum? And I will ask for a third and final time if there's anybody that would like to step forward for public forum. Hearing none, we will move on to item number 5.2. This is a cannabis zoning public hearing.
So in November of 2024, the city voted to pass all of the registration for cannabis onto the county. And in order for the county to do our registration, we had to set zoning guidelines of where we wanted it, what we wanted it, and what to do with it. It is the recommendation, it went through planning commission, public hearing, and it did go to ordinance. And they agreed that cannabis operation businesses would be allowed in the industrial park and industrial park only with on a conditional use permit. And then the cannabis retail business would go in the general business district, the central business district, and the highway business district. They would all follow the county's guidelines of 1,000 feet from schools, 500 feet from parks. There's not really anywhere in downtown that it would be able to go at all. It would end up on the freeway ramps. And that's pretty much the gist of it.
All right, at this point in time, then we will go ahead and open up the public hearing. If anybody members of the public would like to step forward and state your name and address and your concerns. All right, and I will ask again, if any members of the public would like to step forward, this is a public hearing. And state your name and address and state your concerns. I will ask for a third and final time if anybody would like to step forward and make any comment on the public hearing. Hearing none, I get a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Dave. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Dan. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, now council can take this under advisement. We have any thoughts from council about this? So.
And how will this discussion be any different from 12.1 and 12.1?
12.1 is the ordinance itself, right?
Right.
Like the resolution, if you will.
I don't have, it, but just save it, for the, expedience of, yeah, just wait for a conversation to come up then.
I think it's separate anyway, and that's what I interpreted it as. Two actions.
Okay, any further discussion by council before we move on? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to item number 6, the sheriff's update.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Deputy Owens, County Sheriff's Office. So February, kind of a brief report for February. It was pretty much business as usual. Taking call for services, doing private police work for the city. Other than that, there wasn't really any one call that stuck out this past month. I guess the only thing I could say, like a more PSA moment, now that the weather is getting warmer, we're starting to get open water on the Snake River Channel there. So if anybody does venture out onto the ice, I would use extreme caution because the ice is becoming very unsafe. So I just thought I would bring that up. Other than that, I really got nothing else. Anything?
Did we get any leads on the person that was spray painting thing?
As of right now, I do not have any information on that.
Any other follow-up from?
I would just like to say thank you. I follow your incident reports. I like to read them. And at this particular round, it was nice to see more traffic stops.
Okay.
Because that is a fairly common concern that we get. So it's nice to hear that.
Is there any specific area within the city limits?
I don't really think so. 10th Street seems to be a freeway, you know, going out this way is kind of a freeway, the
Yeah.
four-way stop. Like you guys got most of but it's just nice to see it correlate on here too.
Yep.
So it's
Absolutely. And as the summer months as we move into spring and then summer, those traffic stops will go up. Just because of the fact that we're gonna have that increase in traffic within Pine City. It seems to happen every year. People now come up, check their cabins and stuff like that. So with that increase in traffic, you will see the increase in traffic stops.
Okay, thank you. Any other follow-up from council? Thank you for your time.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
We do appreciate you coming.
Yeah, not a problem.
Right, next is item number 7, the department reports. Does anybody have any follow-up for the department reports?
Of course I do. Laura, I was wondering when you guys went down to the municipal day, is there anything that you took from there in the legislature right now that might affect municipal operations? I know last year, for instance, there was a hot button move to try to get sales into all grocery stores and gas stations, like.
Actually, for us as an off sale, there's not a whole lot that's gonna probably be brought up in the legislative session this year, mostly gambling. Because there's a lot of competition with the sports gambling and the reservations having gambling, and what's been going on in bars, the discrete ones that they have are too close to what's actually in the casinos, and there's a lot of conversations about that, but as far as us, a couple of years ago, they kind of came to a agreement that they wouldn't bring anything major up for like 5 years, so I think we're on this would be year 3. So it sounds like we'll be left alone for a little while, but the gaming thing is key.
Okay.
But it's always good to go. When we see Senator Rarick, it was Deb and I, and then the municipal manager from Cromwell, and then a local bar owner from somewhere by Cromwell. So it was kind of nice to hear, like, they both have a bar and liquor stores, and we just have a liquor store. This is going on in their world too, is kind of nice. When we met with Nathan Nelson, it was just the two of us, but still good conversations.
Good. Thanks for coming. Thanks for answering my question.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions on the department reports? Hearing none, we will move on to item number 8, the committee reports, and we'll start it off with ordinance. Do you want to take ordinance, Dan, or?
Ordinance was a great meeting, highly productive. I feel we were able to have Jason from Ellers join us. Back in January, we had business owners approach us about water rates. We had asked at our last meeting to have Jason come to our ordinance meeting to explain to us water rates and water studies, and it was amazing information. What we cleared up some things for some planned unit development districts that were left unfinished for people in Cross Lake Preserve and Font Meadows. That's off to public hearing for planning commission. So people at Cross Lake Preserve, you'll be able to have chicken pretty soon, sounds like.
Won't be long.
Yeah.
We buzzed through the tiny home ordinance and approved that, so that'll go back to planning for public hearing, next month. Or, yep. Put the finishing touches ordinance wise on the public art ordinance and push that off to, that'll go next to Public Works Department for their next meeting. And discussed, no mowing. Introducing that into the, that's what I have written down for that one. Anything else that I'm skipping there?
I think so. It was a highly productive meeting.
It was a busy meeting. Okay, next I have library committee.
It was actually canceled last minute due to the librarian not being well, so it was to be rescheduled or just put to the next.
Next up then would be EDA. And I just have some notes from there. It was EDA held their annual meeting and elected their officers. A request came in for a loan from the revolving loan fund. And was approved after there were some adjustments to it. And that's all I have for EDA. That point.
It was pretty much a business housekeeping meeting.
Yeah.
Organizational meeting, if you will. Something felt like.
Next up, planning commission. We approved the, what am I trying to say? Approved going to public hearing for Big Fork Valley Log Cabins, planned redevelopment of some lots that they have in the Fawn Meadows area that were originally platted to be attached townhomes, and basically what they're trying to do is build them as detached single-family homes about the same size as a townhome, but with the garage underneath. Finished up, we discussed the cannabis ordinance at planning to pass on to the public hearing that we had tonight, and we'll pass on to council. We reviewed a couple solar panel projects, and do you remember, did we make a decision at planning on whether the planning needs to see that or not, or was that?
We, as a planning commission, asked staff to start the process to see what it would take to not have residential solar panel reviews come before planning anymore. Because they're so already overly engineered that, I mean, what are we gonna find that's any different? You know, solar farm, bigger projects still, but just to be less burdensome to people that may be trying to do projects.
And the only other things I have was we proposed the zoning districts for Fawn Meadows and Cross Lake Preserve. And approved the tiny home project that we've been working on planning. You guys have been working on planning for about a year.
Yeah.
When I came in July, we're in the thick of it there. And that was sent off to ordinance and also for bid ordinance and sent off for public hearing. Next up, I have the Fawn Meadows meeting. And that was a work session with council, HRA, and EDA. We met to discuss the future development of the Fawn Meadows area with financial advisors from Ehlers and city engineering firm SEH. We had some very good discussion and are in the early phases of looking at next steps, I think is the easiest way to put it. There was no real decisions made. It was just kind of information gathering.
What did we learn? Construction, infrastructure, construction is expensive.
Very.
We also learned that they need to find a developer.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely will have to be done at stages. Yeah, phases, stages. But it was good information, and it's exciting that we do have those options out there. Creative financing is in order to see it through.
All right, next up, I have.
I got one more thing with that. Also, I'm being on Public Works, I would like, and I'm gonna put it on our agenda that we are gonna look at, if we have to do it in phases, what's the priorities? And so, Public Works is the end of the month. So we'll be talking about that part of it, and if we can't hammer that out and then, bring it back to the council.
You. Next up, HRA. Gina, do you want to take that or do you want me to take that one?
I feel like I should take that because
It wasn't much. It was kind of just like.
I was on the online, wasn't I?
Uh,
I couldn't
yeah.
vote, yeah.
Yep, that was our annual meeting. We elected our officers for the year. Discussed the time of Bond Meadows work session and
I think that's when I dropped.
the only other thing that we discussed, we chatted a little bit about the tiny homes ordinance and are beginning the stages of rewriting the bylaws for the HR committee.
When we talk about rewriting bylaws, did we give ourselves a deadline? We're almost there, aren't we? Yeah, yes, okay.
That's quick.
One question I had, because when I was on HRA before, we were talking about the foundation issues that were going on over there. Was there any more talk from management about any of these grants that were possible, or wasn't that get brought up?
There was a grant we tried that they told us, or that they were told to apply for. There's the POP funds that are coming up, that those funds we should be able to potentially utilize to.
That's in April.
And I think, with that being said, though, I think that HRA needs to focus, you know, we got through some of the business stuff, but we need to focus on that.
Yeah.
And kind of clear that up. That's our one business that we manage. And if we can't take care of that, I don't think we need to start trying to do something else. We need to figure that out and
Right.
fix it.
That's my point.
Okay.
I think
Yeah, no, I'm very, how much of these POP funds yield do we have?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
They know they are coming in and it's due in April. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, they're working.
And they're so technical that,
Right,
you know,
right.
as they get
I re-
explained to us, we do a lot of nodding.
I remember that, so, yeah, okay.
All right, any further questions or follow-ups from the committee? Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent items. Does anybody have any discussion, or would someone like to make a motion to approve the consent items?
I'll make a motion to approve consent items.
From Gina, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
And a second from Dave. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, moving on to old business, item number 10.1, 2024 street improvements for 10th Street Southwest.
Greg's here.
TV Mayor, members of the council, in your package tonight is pay application number 6. It's not a very large amount. We're just cleaning up some subcontractor quantities from last fall. I tried to put them up until spring, but we wanted to get taken. So it just reconciles a few quantities. They probably won't be back until May, June. Completion date is June 15th, but final burn out and we stretch. So I'd be looking for approval of pay application 6 in the amount of $8,664.89. And I do have a question, so.
Sure, I also have a question for you. I just noticed it today, driving through some of that new tar. It's actually not 10th Street. It was 9th and 2nd where that intersection was replaced. It was very icy all winter long and there was standing water there again today when I drove by. So I'm just wondering, will that get a second lift still, or is that, okay? I just wanted to make sure that wasn't the Pfizer project.
Yep, if you tell me that a year from now, I'm more concerned. Second, on all of that. I know you're talking about the assessment policy later, but if we're starting down the path using the special benefit analysis for this project, we don't need final quantities to do the assessment hearing, so I'm just curious on timing. I can come to the April meeting with the resolution, instructed Mark Snyder to start final assessments and maybe discuss having the assessment hearing in that May or June meeting. Gives us more time and not rushing it until the end of the year to get So if you're hoping that all next month, we can start the assessment process.
I think we'll be in touch shortly because we are looking at the assessment policy.
We gotta, we're gonna try to speed it up, Greg, but I think you know, we made some commitment, or so I made a commitment to the constituents that we are gonna take a hard look at this and we are gonna do this before we do this.
All right.
Brian. Okay.
So I have a follow-up question once we take action, but I would like to get back to the action at hand and make a motion that we approve this payment.
I'll second Kyle's.
All right, we've got a motion from Kyle and a second from Gina to approve application for payment number 6. All those in favor, please signify.
Wait, can we discuss?
Yep.
I was actually gonna make a motion, but, and at least for discussion purposes, it was brought to the attention of the council that there was a, homeowner at 1000 4th Avenue Southwest that had an instance with the dirt work contractor and their irrigation system. And has been trying privately to solve this with the dirt work contractor and has had no luck for months and months. And it's been now brought to the city, for us to try and handle. And I would just hope that there would be a way that the dirt work contractor could make this right. It's not a huge amount of money. It sounds like it's pretty well
I'll talk to
documented.
you in early January about it.
I will follow up on that.
So I was gonna make a motion to
You-
withhold payment until that was handled, but here we are. So
Well, we always have the option on the final, so,
Yeah,
and there is escrow money kept, so
so
one way or another,
5%.
yeah, one way or another, we're gonna it's taken care of.
All right, okay, so we have a motion and a second.
And you are aware of what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right, we've got a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion from council? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
So,
motion carries.
so Dan beat me to it, but, I had a thought or a question. You worked on quite a few projects for us over the years now, and I'm guessing that SEH does a lot of road projects throughout the state. Do you guys have any kind of grading matrix on contractors? Maybe they cost a little bit more, but have a higher score on accountability and communication that would be worth looking at? We always look at the lowest bid, it seems like, and I know we've run into some problems over the years with contractors that maybe their attention to detail is a little less than some other ones that might be a little more expensive.
That's a good question. So the city is held to the lowest responsible bidder requirements. So yes, we know the reason we have to award it to the low bidder. The city does have the ability, I believe, to still do what they call best value contracting. Done that before, you can only do it on a certain percent of the projects. Maybe you can do a street project every few years. We've used that in a couple other cities, and in fact, there's a grading system where you put a matrix together saying the cost is going to be 60%. Previous experience with the city is 20, references are 20, something like that. Put those requirements together. And I have done cities award projects to not the lowest bidder because they're more comfortable with the bidder. But I believe you're only allowed to use that a certain percentage of projects. So that's an option. It's called best value contracting. We're sending biggie documents out. It's all clear in there. Once to be awarded, yes, we'll have to do it with a number. With a score, you're going to have to complete whether it's a questionnaire, previous projects. I mean, they submit references and past projects. And if it's somebody I'm not familiar with, I can reach out. And we've even done interviews where we pick 3 and they're going to come in there, the council or an interview committee, and then make a recommendation on the contract. You don't always get the lowest one, but to your point, that's probably not what you're.
Well, I don't want the most expensive one either, but, every project, it seems like we have different headaches. There's this incident, there was, the Civic Center incident, there was some things on Woodpecker Ridge, I believe. Every time we go with the cheapest bid, we run into problems, and sometimes it doesn't end up being the cheapest bid after everything gets settled, it seems like. So it would be nice to see if there's some kind of matrix out there to maybe justify having somebody that maybe takes a little more attention to the project.
Yeah, that's one vehicle, we have done where we required contractor to have administrative personnel on site all the time, like a superintendent. And then we put that in there as a line item. So you don't see, to kind of address those things, the foreman basically does that, and the superintendent will come through daily, 2 times a week, come to their meetings. But that's another option, it's build some additional oversight or administration into the contract. A little more responsibility from them. You still follow the low bidding process, but if you don't line for the bids, they don't give you on-site superintendents. Address resident city complaints, it's X amount an hour. We don't see them, then they don't pay 8 hours if they didn't come for a day. That's another option, I don't know if it's cheaper or not, but it's something you can do within low bidding.
Is it lowest qualified bid?
It's the lowest responsible.
Lowest.
Okay, most responsible bid administrator. So if we do a search, MnDOT has a department list, or if we work with them on in other cities and they've had a claim or a court judgment or something, the city does have the ability to not award to them, but award to someone else. We've done that a few times. We did that in Cambridge. We had issue with a paving contractor. The low bidder did file an injunction. It did go to court. The city did prevail. But there we had specific documentation of not performing the previous work in town. That's kind of what you need to. Have to deal with an injunction. Fight it. But that's what they call it in Minnesota. If it's somebody we've never heard of and they've not performed on a project of this size, you know, looking a little bit more typically on the projects we haven't found any of some fairly similar pool of contractors we've seen in the area.
Perfect. It'd be nice to see a little more attention being put into those contracts, whatever option we go with, to see what our options are. So I appreciate the information.
Okay. All right, perfect. Any further questions for Greg? Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next we will move on to item number 10.2, 315 Main Street Village Hall update. With this, I do just want to remind council that next Thursday at 10:30 is our 315 work group meeting, joint session with council. That will be the presentations by the 2 developers so far. And we will take it from there. No decisions will be made that day, just strictly their presentations. Some discussion.
So I won't be in attendance. Be available soon.
Any further discussion on 10.2?
I just want to say thanks to Brock and Public Works people and everybody that has been putting in time and sweat, and you were here for playing cashier
I
at the
was
sale.
cashier, yes.
Like, you're doing a great job and it looks awesome, and thanks for getting it done.
Marcy, you want to talk a little bit about the sale here as long as you have a chance?
Oh,
There's
yes.
another one.
Yes, that's a good point. We are having a final sale this Saturday again. It'll be the same hours, 8 AM to 1 PM. And we've pulled some more shelving and chairs and it all needs to go. I mean, I'm just so impressed with how it went 2 weeks ago. We had a line before we even opened, so it was busy the entire time.
And it's like $5, $10, $2. It's price to move.
And good quality.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, Marcy. Next, let's move on to item number 10.3, Midco Dark Fiber IRU agreement.
So it's back again with the revision that we made, and they agreed it was a great idea to add that, should there be a move with, at the 1015 hillside. So they've added the, condition complimentary move, should City Hall move to another location in this 20 years. And then the final, so. If council's ready to approve this,
I am. I make the motion, we approve this agreement.
Great, I've got a motion from Dave.
I'll second it.
Would you like your second from Dan? Any further discussion from council?
One discussion point, I think the term of the agreement was for 20 years. Did we put in there anything to review it after certain number of years for any reason?
So in the spirit of this agreement, basically Midco will be purchasing these fibers from us for that agreed upon amount that we agreed upon last year. With that purchase price, they're letting us use it for 20 years, another 20 years for free. And at that point in time, it was basically said that we would then pay a monthly lease per strand of fibers. I don't know if they would necessarily be willing to extend an IRU any further past the 20 years because they would like to start seeing some profits on, because they're going to end up having to replace fibers and things like that.
So at that point, that fiber would be 5 years old
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
or older.
if they said the typical lifespan of the actual fiber optic cable is somewhere between 20 and 30 years, and this was installed in 98, 99, 2000, somewhere in that time frame. So they're claiming it's already at end of life, it's in conduit, so I don't necessarily foresee anything happening. But if something were to happen, they would be pulling fiber at their expense now.
Well, they're basically just purchasing the conduit runs,
Right.
the infrastructure so that they
The
can.
plan is to already, that they will have to be replacing it.
Fiber, yeah.
I guess my thought is that an agreement can be perfectly good. But anytime it goes for X amount of years. We've seen agreements made in the past or from the past that look perfect. And there's no way to go back and just sit down and have a discussion. Maybe everything's going good, maybe you want to see improvements, maybe everything is going terrible. I'm not saying that they have to extend it or anything, but it would be nice to have something where 5 years, 10 years, we just see how it's going. And give the future councils the ability to have a discussion. Do they want them to expand? Maybe fiber isn't working out with any other companies, and they want to see Midco expand throughout town or something else.
Sure.
So we already sold it, correct? We
Oh,
already-
no, this
No,
is the agreement.
This
Yes.
is the final.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because like it also, that is true, but it could also go the other way. Like, what if we bump up against it and they're like, oh, by the way, this is bad, and so now we wanna end our contract early and pay early too.
Yeah, and it is a good contract with the city.
You know, I think with the changes in technology, 20 years from now, maybe fiber won't even exist. You know,
Let's be doing this.
we'll be beaming each other back.
Shift in our.
But if like a 4-year look back period, maybe like the first 8 years,
It's worth
The future council could completely waive it if it wasn't important, but it would give them an option to at least sit down and have a conversation. That's, I guess, my only thought.
I guess that would be up to you if you'd like to amend your motion to add a look back period in there. Then I would probably have to go back to Midco and come back to us next month, or.
I think we've kicked this can down the road enough. I really strongly feel that I don't know if this technology is even gonna be around. So 20 years is a long time.
Perfect. So I've got a motion from Dave. Do I hear a second?
I'll second Dave's motion.
And a second from Gina. Gina,
I had Dan Swanson already.
Oh, yeah, that's what I
Sorry,
thought.
Dan did a second. Do you still have your second?
Still want a second?
I did. Yeah, sure.
all right, so
We had a motion, a second, and discussion.
Dave, a second from Dan.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I,
Those opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
All right, next we're moving on to item number 10.4, West Side Park Area Update.
This is, we were given some homework to check with Quick Trip to see if, I know like when they did the Mora, it was really quick to put up the fence, and they do. They will be doing the fence around the perimeter of their building site, so they don't anticipate any kind of disruption with traffic flow or kids walking into their building area, because it will be contained and fenced off.
traffic control. They have a traffic control plan to help mitigate construction traffic, to help I mean, because the only sidewalk is on that side. I don't know. I would be hopeful if there was some sort of traffic control plan where if they're gonna be running trucks or they're bringing stuff in and out that way, you're gonna know there's gonna be flaggers over there. It's pretty standard for projects like this.
Yes, I would think that would be what they'd be doing. I can call to verify again, but in Moore, when they were building, they did have people out there with the flags when the big equipment, yes, stopping traffic when they were coming in and out of the work site. I thought you meant like all day. Okay, just wanted.
All right, perfect. Any further discussion about it for 10.4? Hearing none, we will move on. Item number 10.5, the assessment policy.
That was just asked to be added. Also in ordinance, we are, next ordinance meeting, we'll have a spreadsheet put together that'll show the cities who have done assessment changes to their cities and, have a comparison. So that'll be at the next ordinance meeting. This was just on here to let you know that we are moving forward, looking at what's being done in other areas.
We did discover that there's a way in the state of Minnesota that you can transition to a tax, where it's a tax that's applied to everyone for road improvement projects instead of doing assessments. City of Edina's that has a whole bunch of information on the website about it, including all of the questions that you could possibly ask about. If I've been assessed in the past, if, will I get a refund? How does this work moving forward? And the kind of the precipice behind it is that it's becoming unsustainable to assess assessments with property values and the improvement value to the property. So it was pretty eye-opening.
So I've never been against changing it. The only thing I asked that is looked at is how do we justify spreading that out towards everybody? You touched upon as being assessed in the past, but again, spreading that out to everybody, how do we justify which projects are taking priority? If you live at the dead end street, are you ever gonna get your road redone because you're the only one back there? If the priority is everybody else, so it'd be nice to know a priority list. But yeah, just keeping it fair, there are people that decided to live in the areas that they chose to because maybe they're higher value or more appealing to them because they're quiet roads or in areas that have slower neighborhoods. There's people that decide to live on 61 that have to deal with heavy traffic, and that's county-wide for the road projects, but they're also putting up with stuff. So who are we rewarding? How do we prioritize? How do we justify it? That's the questions I'd like to answer. Yeah, so.
Well, that's on our list of public works too, is to prioritize any projects foreseen in the future and what we got for sure on the books that we're gonna have to do. So, well, I think we're gonna be looking at a lot of that, but I think I like what you're saying.
I just don't want anybody to feel like they're not getting a fair shake at getting the road done.
Right. No problem.
All right, any further discussion about the assessment policy? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 10.6, snow plowing on Hillside Avenue.
We talked about this last month and didn't have information on whether there was a contract in place. And then I don't know if Maury, did you happen to find out who is that?
He's
He's at school.
at school.
Okay, so then I was gonna talk with Mark LeBron and he was out the week we had council and then I went out the following week. So I don't have any updates as to if Mark has access to a contract that's in place with the county on that. So
We can push it to
to be continued, it'll be on.
be continued, yeah.
As long as it stays on there, I'm happy.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
I think it should.
let's move on to item number 10.7, city council meeting time survey results.
Melanie created a survey that was posted and we did have. Did we see we had?
It is still active because it was only up for a week at this point,
So yeah, as of Monday, we had 28 responses and then attached is all of the findings that people,
Like Wednesday.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then,
Meetings.
and the evening section was obviously selected as the highest percentage.
I was just happy that everyone that took the survey was interested in attending a council meeting, so that,
There was a lot of good comments.
yeah, there's
Yeah, and then Melanie wrote out there was a space for additional, oh, she copied and pasted. She put together if people took the time to put an actual comment in that section, and this was what was left for that, so. Pretty good response for a week.
Perfect. Have some more, and I'm sure you'll close it down next week or 2 weeks from when you open
Yeah,
it.
I'd post like a Facebook update, like don't forget to.
Yeah, maybe a reminder.
Perfect.
appreciate that, thanks.
All right, any further discussion from council on 10.7?
Probably took less time to put it all together than it did to hear us.
All right, let's move on to new
That's
business.
my need.
New business, item number 11.2, the Timber Pines PCSL.
Oh, don't want to. What that? It's asking me to
It's
print.
just popping up on my line too.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is a TIF project that the city had approved to move forward as a TIF project. And this is keeping this project in compliance. So this has been reviewed by both Jason at Ellers and Taft Law in regards to the Silver Creek project, and this is just, we've already approved this. This is the next step for the project. The resolution will approve this agreement. It's just the next step of this TIF.
So the way I think I understand, the assumption of rights is just acknowledging that we're going to go through with it, and the resolution is acknowledging that we agree to going through with it. Right,
Correct.
formal like that. Okay,
It's just a formal
because one,
step.
we just need a motion for, and the resolution, we need the roll call, correct?
Correct. You need a roll call vote for the approval of this resolution.
All right,
So would you say like it's like the paperwork to the decision that we already made?
It's the legal paperwork to, part of this TIF project to keep it compliant.
right, do we need separate motions then for the?
Well, I'll go ahead and refer you.
No, the approval of the resolution is the approval of the agreement. So,
Okay, but since they both need signatures, can we just,
oh, sure.
Make a
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
yes, I'll make a motion, approve the agreement. Lost a piece of spot here. To
For the
approve the
assumption.
assumptions, rights, and
Okay.
obligations agreement for Timber Pines Senior Living Project.
All right, I have a motion from Gina. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Dan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. And then the next would be for the ordinance. Oh,
So resolution,
goodness, resolution to approve.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve resolution 2025-11, authorizing the execution of the assumption of rights and obligations agreement.
All right, I have a motion from Gina. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second from Dave. This is a roll call vote, as it's a resolution, so we will start with Kyle,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Gina,
Yes,
Dan,
Yes.
and I will also vote yes. That motion carries. All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Marcy. Let's move on to item number 11.3, request for council action for tender number 18.
Right. This is from the fire department.
Mayor and council, basically to summarize this, it's the 91 GMC tanker that we had. Background by Road Chevrolet. It's a GMC tanker that we had taken out of service. On traffic. Should be taken out of service because we did receive that as a tanker, and this one brought up and discussed in the last fire committee meeting, which the fire committee
unanimously supported a motion, of selling it to one of our mutual aid partners. At that point, I reached out to the two parties that have been interested, and Brookburg was the only one that's got a written offer on the truck. And I think it'd be a wise decision, in all honesty, for us to make this transfer over to Brookburg, as it would help their fleet and help them out, and we would still be able to use that as a mutual aid partner as well.
Perfect. Any questions or comments from council, or would somebody like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve, accepting the bid for the 1991 GMC tender number 18.
All righty, I've got a motion from Dan. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
And a second from Dave. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
And Melanie, that, can you help change it to GMC instead of Chevrolet or whomever?
Sure.
Okay.
Or it should say.
Yeah, so it says it right there.
Just
There's
for,
one all year.
GM.
just for an informational piece, now that it's been accepted, what's the turnaround time for getting that tender to them?
I would probably call Wayne, tomorrow. I don't know if he has to bring this back to his city now that we accepted the agreement or not, but I don't know that. So they don't. But it's all ready. They're all ready to go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. All right, next, let's look at 11.4, discussion and possible action on water system improvements.
Okay. Councilor Swanson asked for this to be on the agenda.
I did. So bear with me here while I lay down a little background. So we just had the feasibility analysis prepared for us and paid for by EDA, HRA, and a developer that was interested in possibly building homes in Fawn Meadows. One of the things that brought forward again is the lack of a water system loop on the north end of town.
Dahlia, we put that, please, sorry.
From all the research that I've been able to do and looking through minutes and things like that over the last 15 years, this is something that's been discussed at long lengths. It's been addressed that we know we need to do it, but it just hasn't been done. Fortunately, we have only had one instance on that north end of town where we've had a fire where things could have been catastrophic. So what this did for me through the feasibility analysis, I didn't realize it was a 6,700 foot dead end water main. In the 15 years since this has been proposed to put on there, we have also added Timber Pine Senior Center. We have added the courthouse and the jail. We've added a number of other businesses that are all hooked to this dead end water line. There is a lot of talk, obviously, about wanting to do something at Timber Pines. The city in the past has purchased the Orvis property with future aspirations of maybe turning that into development as well.
I mean, Fawn Meadows.
Fawn Meadows, yes, sorry, Orvis to Fawn
Yeah.
Meadows, my bad. So what I am proposing, while we have this, discussion first, but while we have a fresh set of information from this feasibility analysis, I think now is the time for us to engage with SEH to figure out what it's going to take to bring this project to fruition. We got some loose working numbers, I think, 500 to 600,000. Does that sound about right to finish that PPL? Not first and foremost, I believe that we have a responsibility to people that live and have businesses on that end of town to finish this, to know that we have a loop system. Does everybody understand? So like right now, all of this water comes from one end of town and then dead ends. So if you start pulling on it from a fire hydrant or something else, or there's a leak, like everything that's in front of it isn't going to have water. So if we're able to loop it on the north end of town there, it closes the system up. So there is always a constant draw of water that will be pressurized in that system. So I think it's time for us to get this loop going. We know that we have people interested in properties that the city has north of town. We know that we have residents and businesses there that we need to be very, very cognizant about what could happen if something happens to that run. We just learned up here 16,000 for a pretty simple water main break. If something goes wrong with this, we're talking, it's catastrophic. Discuss.
So, I believe at one point, maybe Gina, if you recall, Greg was looking at a grant for us or some kind of funding options. I'm guessing that probably fell short. So what are our funding options for this project?
Quite prepared on discussing it, but appreciate it, Dan. This project was submitted a year and a half ago to the Public Facilities Authority. They have a project priority list or PPL. It scored water projects, ranks them, and to get in the fundable range, you get the low interest loan. Again, it's kind of like bond. They do the admin for you, so it could be cheaper than a bond. It is in the range for a bond. We're not high enough for a grant towards this. It does get rescored again in the summer. It stays on there until we either clean it or ask them to take it off. So they all get rescored again, but I think it's probably mid-summer. We wouldn't go till fall if we get the construction to get into the grant range. I did reach out to our funding folks before the joint meeting on this and asked them other options. Unfortunately, it's not a big project. It's a lot of money. It's not a big project. There might be a couple options, whether it's small cities, maybe rural water, or doing the PFA. Those are some options here. This, our thought with the PFA was exactly how Dan laid it out. This is an issue for the city and lots of people in the city. That's why we scored higher than some other just projects, but still not getting in the grant range.
So to borrow from 11.7 just a little bit, one of the things that we learned from Jason at Ellers at the last ordinance meeting about water rate study. So the water rate study that was implemented was done 10 years ago he showed us on the slide deck that it was built to help support capital improvement projects, street projects, water system maintenance projects, and things of that order. So we have been collecting money for going on 10 years now. Is there a way, since this would be considered a water service improvement, we could pull from the water enterprise fund to pay for this? That's my thought. I don't know.
That's probably more of a Jason question.
Can you combine it with other loops or other projects that we need? We've got other areas in town that could be looped, Cross Lake Preserve over there around, school. I mean, or can't you combine these projects into one loan or grant or whatever you call it?
It's project is big a lot. It's being important. So I think if this is something you want to get done, we could look at some funding options and come back with some options, maybe use which are going to be folks at the auditor. You make it bigger, it might be more attractive, but you're still going to probably have a city share you can't kick in. So.
Well, I think we need that information to make their decision.
Right.
But I think it's important. We got an area out by Cross Lake. I mean, sure, we annexed a piece of property, which I didn't think was a good idea because, we got other stuff that wasn't finished, but it happened. I didn't vote for it, but that doesn't matter. We still took it on. That is worthless, and I don't want a project person coming in there and saying, "Hey, I need you to put water in."
So I like the water enterprise fund that you're getting at. If we, to Dave's point, did combine stuff and we're able to apply for a grant and maybe we have to use some of the water money to do that.
Right.
Could we get more with less? So I'm certainly open to looking at just this project if that's all we can do. But if there's an opportunity, like Dave said, to loop everything out there and provide water,
We'll finish off
how much are we out if it's just the summer?
Yeah, part of the reason I brought up this particular stretch of water system is because we have fresh information with fresh numbers. B, there is a ton of interest in properties that the city owns and developing, and we know that is a huge,
Yeah.
that's a roadblock to being able to do anything. So if we were able to get this going now, my thought was you would have a shovel in the ground and break it out with the rest of the loops that need to be completed. Maybe it needs to be a phased project, maybe do it all at the same time, I don't know. It just, for me, it's playing on borrowed time.
Greg, is this a good bidding time to think about something like that? If we don't get our act together for a couple of months, are we wasting our time or?
On this project, I'd say no, because we're probably not gonna have a lot of street repair. So this could be something that could be done well in the fall. And with the wetland there, we might end up drilling a lot of directional drilling out of it. Because of the wetland there. So, if it was a street project, I'd say we're probably running out of time to get it done by fall. But since all we'd have to patch would be 16th by the water plant, this would be a nice project at the end of the season for a utility crew because we gotta get it done on the Palm Meadow side before we do any of the other construction.
Sounds good. I like your idea.
All right, do we need any further direction for staff at this point in time, or?
Do you need a motion to let him start working on that?
Because it's already
Moving, right?
moving, so, and obviously bring Maury into the conversation.
I've spent some time on the phone with Lori and the other thing that I didn't know is about the railroad crossing. And that's another whole huge issue, that it's transitions from 6-inch to the 12-inch mains underneath the railroad tracks. So it's 12-inch running up and it goes 6-inch underneath the railroad tracks and then transitions back.
So that's what they require,
No, it's because the city didn't want to pay what it was gonna cost
to dig up the track.
to go to do the crossing across the track, so they just left that 6-inch line and connected new pipe on each end. So.
Perfect, thanks, Dan. Any further discussion on 1124?
Do we need to add this to, the next meeting, just so we keep this,
Yeah,
yeah, okay,
yeah.
keep us going?
Perfect, thank you, everyone. All right, let's move on to 11.5 and 11.5A. Discussion of possible action for the administrative assistant position and IT staffing and administrative assistant job description, excuse me.
We have the position here that we've put together, wait. Right here, sorry. So we put together a job description. The administrative assistant position has not been filled. We've been working on the job description. Staff is looking to have this posted. And then also council member requested that we add this and then the IT staffing discussion. So do we want to do discussion?
Can you make that a little more clear for me?
I'm a little confused about this one too. I
Okay.
apologize.
So, we're looking at filling the administrative assistant position that was emptied when a staff moved to a different position.
Correct.
Okay,
And this is just looking for permission to post
okay.
it.
So what I think I'm hearing is you'd like to also include some IT.
Just a discussion we combined, so I think maybe we should make a vote on on posting the job description and then have a discussion about the AA and IT staffing piece.
As in to like reword the job description?
No, just to talk about with discussion pieces that I have is that it's our March business meeting and that April is coming up very quickly. And we need to talk about what our IT future is going to be. And just to know if there was any actionable items that we may need to talk about to cover for the next month.
So it's not necessarily together, it's two. You want to talk about the AA and then you want to talk about IT. I was thinking you wanted to combine them together,
That's what I was thinking too. So I.
That's also what I was thinking. That was
Okay.
kind of- 'cause that
but
was
you
the
want to talk about
conversation.
IT. And you want
And-
to talk about
And
AA.
AA and short-term
That
staffing
makes-
concerns that I have.
Okay.
We'll
All
get.
right, well, I'll make a motion that go ahead and post this, administrative assistant title or job.
All right, we got a motion from Gina,
Second.
A second from Dave.
What is the duration that this is gonna be posted for?
How long would you like it to post it?
2 weeks is usually consistent.
I would like a minimum of 2 weeks for sure.
2 weeks with it. If we don't feel satisfied with the candidates, we can extend it.
It's gonna be advertised in all options, not just one location.
Correct.
Don't we have to post it internally first? Union or?
What was it, 5 days we have to do it internally?
I thought we have to do it internally.
What's that?
5.
5 days.
Okay, so if you
Approve it, we'll post it 5 days internally and then post it,
Okay, I just want to make sure we didn't miss that. So, okay.
and then do everywhere for 2 weeks.
I think that would have to be in that motion, otherwise you're gonna have to come back and.
You want to?
I'll amend my motion. I'd like to follow our procedure of 5 days internal and then 2 weeks post it publicly. The end.
Okay, I'll adjust my second.
Second. All right, so we've got a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion at this point in time? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, perfect. So then we can move back on to
the discussion.
the discussion.
I apologize.
No, I again, but just was thinking that it is our March business meeting before April. Is there gonna be anything actionable we need to do for our IT future? I don't know if there's been conversations or interviews, or if we're looking for short-term staffing to fill that, but I just don't want it to sneak up on us and then it's gonna be the end of April and there we are.
Marcy and I had met with one vendor, a vendor that we use at the county that we've got a pretty good relationship with. Sounded great.
Yes.
The price did not sound so great. So that was,
I was heartbroken.
that's about as far as we've gotten. from
And then
that.
I'm still always hopeful that we could reach out to the college. I know you said they were overwhelmed, but reach out to the college and see if we could get some internships perhaps, or connection with the graduate or something like that. And then I believe now that we have a little bit of space from our former IT provider, that we have better knowledge of what we actually need, you know, and what kind of support the staff needs. So I think with a little concentrated effort, we'll be able to come up with something. But to your point, we better hurry up.
That goes quick.
I guess to the point, whatever we just had to do with a vendor, it would be nice to see 3 vendor options or memos why we don't have 3 or more.
So the other IT question that I have, and I'm just gonna ask it, is there any way for us to audit the work that we paid for from our last IT vendor to make sure that it was completed? Because we can continually run into things that we have paid for that we were told were done that aren't done. And I don't know if there's a way to perform an audit to see if we got
I
what we paid for.
100% agree.
I think the tricky part is that there's no contract. Or a pretty vague one, if anything.
Well, we do have invoices, so we do have an invoice, a significant invoice that states clearly this company did this work for the city, and we can completely prove that that work was not done. And we paid the invoice.
I made the statement when I first got on the council. I wanted to see, I was seeing hundreds of thousands or thousands of dollars worth of bills being paid, and I said, what are we buying? Nobody seemed to know. And then we got a kind of a vague description.
We got a bunch of, we got a packet that I passed on to you, Mercy, of.
Yeah. Gobbledygook.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to put it. This was insane. I could not believe that the previous council had entered into this, but we did, and we were stuck with it. Was there any chance, I think I'd asked this question of you, Marcy, any chance that the league has someone that could reach out and do a little investigating, or is that
Well,
not on?
especially with the invoices, we could show this work wasn't done. And thankfully, they clearly noted on the invoice what this work was.
Right.
And we can see it, so that's.
If you, I don't know if the rest of the council agrees, but if you need additional assistance in kind of pulling this all together. If somebody, we support whatever you need physically, extra time, extra bodies, just to pull it together. And I would like nothing more than to have this truly in our past. With just an answer, I'll accept whatever the legalities say the answer is, but I don't want to let it go unnoted.
Gina, did you give her everything that we had been handed out? I've got a packet probably about that thick that I could.
It wouldn't hurt to compare packets.
Yeah, I think I'll make sure that I bring that. I just went through it again today and I think that's something that Marcy
And
needs.
then when
Just-
it's done, we can.
They're complete with emails with my questions to our previous administrator and to Par Security that,
I know, and I do respect, it's hard to prioritize what fire do you want to chase first.
yeah.
But that's why I'm saying, if there's something and you need, I think you'd have support if you said, I need,
Yeah.
somebody here 3 days to help me get this completed or something.
For me, it's just, I don't want any more surprises. Like, are we gonna have any more surprises and stuff that we're gonna go to try to use and think that it's done and it's not there, or it's not?
Thankfully, at this point in time, speaking as Canopy IT vendor for a second, we're getting everything back to a point where it's going to be an enterprise grade network. Everything will be monitored, everything will be logged, everything will be put back to the way that it should be. And what will be handed off once my contract expires at the end of April will be solid.
Excellent.
So, and documented.
Excellent.
Any further discussion on that?
Well, I think another part of the equation is that our staff or our department heads maybe can go through and give us a list of what's not working yet, that worked before that started or something. I don't.
I think we have that all.
Okay, good. Well, then that's fine.
Being helpful.
Yes. All right, did you speak to Gina?
I didn't know, I forgot. Just say what you guys were saying before, actually.
The AA piece for me is that you guys at City Hall, staff outside of City Hall, you guys, you're killing it. Like, business is booming right now. And from my background, I have a concern that we don't have an AA in place right now. And I think that we should maybe think about having a temporary one while we're posting for this, if we can. And what I mean is that we can't do temporary. We can't.
Yeah, we are allowed.
Is that it's great, the teamwork, but we're getting to a point where business is booming, where if someone is in their position and they have to go to the front to talk to a customer or take that phone call, or I really feel that we could just support for you guys. I just want to talk about it. I know we're posting, but I don't.
But still, by the time of posting, the higher the training, that's a waste.
Did you remember your thought? Okay.
Super important.
Any further discussion on this or on 11.5? Hearing none, we'll move on to 11.6. This will be no more. Tabitha's got a little bit of information for us here.
So with being the admin assistant, partially all, like last year and my first year when it started, there was a lot of complaints and a lot of the residents were, and it was in the month of May, and they were wanting to participate in the no mow main option, but our city doesn't allow it. More than 35 towns or more than 35 cities across Minnesota has some sort of no mow main, less mow main, however you want to word it, whatever it may be. So I took it upon myself and I started doing a lot of research on it. Brought it forth at ordinance committee just to see where it kind of stood and
Do you want to explain it in case everyone doesn't understand what it is?
so in the month of May, from May 1st to June 7th, you would not be, you would be required to register your home, that you're gonna participate in it. And then a sign would get posted in your yard and you get to participate in it. Come June 7th, your lawn would have to be mowed. If it is not done June 8th, the city can go back to, now we have the ordinance and now we can start issuing violations as needed. I didn't recommend putting this in as an ordinance, as we want to keep it on a permit style, registration style, no fee for it, just, gonna put it out there, and a lot of these other communities that I did the research in, they don't have fees for it. At the ordinance committee, it was brought up that the Northern Lights Lions Club, which is new and they're gonna take it to their board, wanted to kind of partner. So when the registrations came in, we would just verify a few things and then send it out to them. They would be the ones to go out, post the sign in the yard.
Can you explain to people that don't know why we're doing it, or why this is done?
So no mow May is actually for our pollinators. It is the first food when bees wake up, when the hummingbirds come in. A lot of the bugs, our pollination is decreasing. I mean, I know it sounds silly. I kind of feel like it sounds silly, but our bees are our life. I mean, if we don't have bees and pollinators, things aren't gonna grow. We're not gonna have food. And kind of want to help push that along. I want to be able to keep our economy going.
So what are you looking for council?
Motion that they're okay with going forward and posting?
I got a couple questions. And maybe this is a fire and life thing, but what is the concern with having tall grass near buildings or structures? Is there a fire concern there?
Green grass. It's not. I think it's more, I mean, this kind of came about, because we did all these complaints in May, right, which is going to yard. And, the answer that we got from a lot of people was, you know, is this, we want to do the whole thing. And I think that's, everything we should try to see if it's really what you're trying to do, or it's, what they, excuse me. Yeah, to your question, I'll see.
The other question I have is the expectation that people have to beg their grass, or is this gonna end up being a bunch of grass that goes down our storm drains?
That actually, I could not find any information on that. More than likely, we would ask them that they would have to, a normal Minnesota May, 9 times out of 10 for the first week, if not 2, we do have snow. So it's only roughly. When I retire, I'm out of here, so.
It's just something that I'd like to have considered before we have to address it in the future. What is
Which
that?
could be actually added to the permit.
That could be the permit.
And the last question I have is, has there been any kind of studies or research done that there's more nuisance animals that goes in the lawn grass at the end of 30 days that could be a concern to the neighboring houses?
Not that I could find, a lot of the information out there is more cities providing the information. And there's no like true study of whether this truthfully, scientifically works or not. I just know it is a big thing across all of the United States. And I mean, just not a whole lot of research on it.
It was
I could
interesting.
discuss that with Brian and Shalene at the ordinance.
So you talked about this for a while, and last summer, I had never heard of no mowing before, and I went to a nephew's wedding in Colorado, and it was in May, and they were not mowing, and it was huge in Colorado. It's interesting.
I feel like, so have we ever prosecuted someone for not mowing in May?
We assessed their property. We had 2 last year that were assessed.
Cause I felt like in the past, we brought it up and we were just like, we didn't really want to make it official, but we didn't really want to pump, you
So
know.
we
but
did
I didn't
last
know,
year.
I didn't know that we prosecuted 2 people for not mowing in May.
Well,
It wasn't prosecuted.
no, they weren't prosecuted. It went to assessment on the property. So what happened was the letters were sent,
In
giving,
May.
in May,
Mhm.
giving X amount of time. They still never did it. I believe it was 3 letters that were sent. And then after the 3rd one, then they got the citation in the mail with another letter. Mow your lawn or we're gonna, on this date, again, 2 weeks later roughly, we're gonna mow it. So then the city, after the 2 weeks, and 2 lawns still were not mowed, and the city hired a company to go mow both of the lawns. They went and mowed it, $350 is what they charged. And then 3 more invoices went out, and they didn't pay them the citation. And then it went for assessment.
So the recommendation from the ordinance committee was to approve this?
Correct.
So I'll make a motion that we approve no mow May with the language that they have to bag the grass clippings at the end of the month. And that come June 8th, if they do not have it cut by June 7th, we will have a company out there to cut the grass and that will be assessed in the agreement. That's my motion.
All right, thanks Kyle. We've got a motion from Kyle. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
A second, Dave. All those in favor, please, any further discussion?
I have a discussion. Could we read that before you publish it? That sounds like I have 24 hours coming in with my cutter. So I mean,
Well, Tabitha said that she's gonna send out letters at the end of May, correct?
The letters would go out on the 8th, on June 8th. So if they are not mowed on the 7th, usually letters go out the very next. And all the
I'm
other
okay
things.
with the letter going out, but I maybe,
I would
just in
send.
case I got the flu that day or something, I don't wanna have my property assessed.
I would
That
send
we
a letter
will.
out.
Adam, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just saying, instead of maybe writing that letter at the end of that time frame, you're supposed to. This is the expected date that you want the town, coming into compliance with our city ordinance.
Sounds genteeler.
And then be part of the process if it's not done. Maybe we send out a reminder letter, June 1st, you know, just like, hey, you got a week, get it up.
Thank you.
Stamps are 77 cents a piece. Those are expensive. Facebook might offer that free.
Tools, if we ever, I'll have them forever.
All right,
Never
so
use them.
any further discussion? We've got a motion. Laura? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
We're officially green.
All right. Next, we will move on to 11.7. I was getting a little length when I scratched this down. So discussion on possible water rate. All but harder right now.
Water rate and cost of service study. They're
So,
just separate.
yeah, so we at ordinance again had a presentation from Jason at Ellers. And the precipice behind it was the water rate study. A lot of questions, asked a lot of people, nobody really had solid answers. So he was able to actually go back to the slide deck from 2016 when the city had its last water rate study done. The purpose of the water rate study was to set up on a 10-year plan to help raise funds to be able to have healthy operating balances in the water and sewer account to be able to operate those systems, as well as help offset capital improvement projects, capital purchases, water system improvements, studies and the like. That was 2016, 2017 when that was done. For a city of our size, they're supposed to be done every other 4 or 5 years, is what he said.
Yeah.
So what I am coming to the conclusion is that for the last 10 years, we have been raising our rates for water and sewer to build up the water and sewer enterprise funds to be able to use that to help offset capital improvement projects, capital purchases, street improvement projects. And that is not what we have been utilizing that money for. What I want to do or discuss anyway is I would like to commission Ellers to get another water rate study going now, to help support what we want to do in the future. The second piece of that is the act, what do we call that? He called it the cost of service studies. That study is gonna give us more empirical data as we go into negotiating contracts with the townships for sewer rates there. And that study will be imperative to helping negotiate what those prices need to be. So I believe that both of these studies, because they support the water and the sewer system, they could be paid for out of enterprise funds. That's how it's set up. So I just think we need to consider having this study done. And I would make a motion to have Ellers and direct staff to get the process of having a new rate study done so that we can.
He is working on the numbers of what that would look like. So we would not go into it blindly of what it would cost for the one study and then the two studies, which the two studies actually would be in the best interest of the city. It's gonna show fair and accurate information for both the city and the townships.
He thought he'd have that done shortly,
Pretty quickly, yeah.
pretty quickly, so we could
I can follow up with him tomorrow and ask if he has those prices put together.
move it to the next. I don't know if it will be ready for the middle of the month. but
Absolutely, I could have it on that.
And maybe it will be. Oh, yeah, he thought he might be able to get it done for that, yeah.
But I think part of it too is I think it would be very beneficial to our budgeting process for 26 and 27. I just think there's a lot of benefit there, and with the other thing that the study will do, it will help define for us if we decide to do commercial rates and different rates for small business. And it was nice to, at the ordinance meeting, there was actually a couple small business owners that were there to help understand, like, you can't just change the water rate. There's quite a process that goes behind it. So
I got a call today from the gentleman that owns the laundromat. And he went through a bunch of comparisons and he sent an email. Did everybody?
Yeah, he sent it to everybody.
I didn't get it.
I'll forward it to you.
How much will you pay me for it? No.
So
We'll get it to you.
my only concern is not knowing the amount. I'm not opposed to it, but I would like to know the amount up front.
Right.
Before approving it. The second component is he the only one that can do the study? Or is there other individuals out there that can do the study?
I don't know the answer to that question. I just felt with Ellers, because they did the last one, it would probably be the easiest for data, but
I'm always nervous about not having competition, just to keep all the rates fair.
yeah. I did learn though that professional services are not subject to the competitive bidding process. Learned that on our training. So
I know, but I still like to keep them competitive.
I get that.
Could we request that from SEH?
Is that, do you even do water rate studies?
I don't think we have for a while.
Would you be able to give me direction on who else to reach out to on this? Oh, okay.
If nobody exists, then I'm fine with that, but, I don't ever want to be narrow-minded.
Yeah, I think the
Greg's no.
reason that professional, because they are familiar with your city and, you know, kind of know your style and your plans and your financials. So that they give you the best service.
He made that comment that, having the previous one would make it a lot easier to do this one. So I don't know if that meant it would make it cheaper. We didn't ask that question. Maybe we should have, but it was so long.
Yeah, and I know that he also said that to be able to do it accurately, we'll need the 2024
Completed.
fiscal year audit and the year-end audit. So,
Yeah.
but again, just want small business owners to know, I want the taxpayers to know that since it was brought before council, we have been working on it at every meeting and every committee that we can to try to impact this if we can.
And I made that statement to the gentleman. I said that, you know, this isn't gonna happen tomorrow. If it happens at all, it's gonna be down the road, but we're not gonna sit on it. We are gonna keep moving forward with it and do it right and do it the way we're supposed to do it. So,
All right, Dave, can you restate your motion for me? I'm out, lost in my head here for a second.
Well, I will amend it and make a motion that we, allow staff to begin researching what the cost for these studies will be to bring back to our middle of the month meeting to have further discussion and then have a vote on it the first meeting in April.
I mean, we certainly can do a motion, but I don't know if we need a motion to give staff direction to do that, but it's up to.
But yeah, I think they're, at that point, you're just giving them direction to collect information, pricing.
Okay.
But we won't, I think most importantly, what I hear everyone saying is we just want this on old business and to keep it moving.
Yes, so on the mid-month agenda, we'll have the collected information to present and then have more discussion.
I know, sounds good.
I would like to make sure that we do have the option to take action on it at that time, if we have accurate numbers. Or numbers, I should say. Not just discussion.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you, everyone. Then we will move on to planning, community development, engineering and business, item number 12.1. This is cannabis zoning ordinance request for council action for ordinance 2025-0.
So at the beginning of the meeting, we had the public hearing. Public hearing. At planning commission. Well.
This is the imperative last step, right? Like we have to have this in place before anybody or any license can be issued. And that's why this is so important, correct?
Correct, and the county can't even start registration for us as well.
Well, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Any other discussion from council, or would somebody like to make a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, well, however you want to record that.
Okay, we got a motion from Gina and a second from Kyle. This is an ordinance. Do we need to do a roll call for an ordinance? Okay, roll call vote. Kyle,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Gina,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
I will also vote yes. That motion carries. All right, next up is item number 12.2, 100 Second Street Southeast Avenue, or Avenue Southeast Solar Panel Memo.
At planning commission last month, the solar panel was approved. It is a photovoltaic system, and it does not overhang the structure. This will not be seen from the public right of way. But even if it was being used as this type of system, it can still be seen from the public right of way. And it does not, it's built on it's being put on a wood shed. And it's only a one level wood shed. So it doesn't exceed the 2.5 stories. For this.
So is there any concern from the fire and life, fire side perspective with this?
I've never seen. Kids go through.
This was the plan that were presented to us at planning commission were all engineer drawn, engineer drafted, so.
These are reviewed by Rum River as well. It goes to Rum River before it comes to us.
Yeah.
So it is reviewed by building.
I don't,
They've never said, I'm just,
I've worked with engineers and architects and sometimes they forget things. So.
Is, you know, this brings up a question in my mind, because I never dealt with too many solar panels when I was doing it, but Adam, is this something that maybe we could reach out to the fire marshal's office and say, the firefighting issues that would come up with these solar panels on the roof? I don't know, I myself, after years of fighting fires, I don't know if I want to spray a hose up on an electrical panel. I just was wondering, you know.
From what I've seen is that the major component for side of it is that it has to have disconnect or to be shut off. Disconnect. Power gets required.
I was assuming that they would have that in there, but I was asking that.
Perfect. Any other questions from council? Somebody like to make a motion to? So moved. Right, I got a motion from Dan. Do we hear a second?
I'll second Dan's motion.
And a second from Gina. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, next, the same thing. We'll do 12.3, 440 10th Street Southwest Solar Panel Memo.
And this one went through planning commission last month and it was approved by them to bring forward to you. This one is being placed on a home. It is a one-level home and it's a roof-mounted system, so it's the home does not exceed 2.5 stories. It is a photovoltaic system and does not overhang the structure, and it will sit roughly 6 inches above the roof. And this will be seen from the public right away, but according to our ordinance, we can do that with this type of system.
All right, perfect. Any comments from council or would somebody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Dan, second from Kyle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, next up, we've got 12.4 Foster Memo replat and variance.
So the developer came forward and he owns 16 properties in Fond Meadows. He's asking, he asked planning commission to do a replat as it's supposed to be all townhomes in that area. He's requesting a replat so that we can build single family homes. We have spoken with Rum River as well, because they are requesting a variance to build homes with a 5-foot side yard. So each property would have 5 feet on each side at minimum.
That's pretty standard.
Set all of the standards kind of that were, they mostly followed what's currently up there. And I didn't really, we don't really have standard things with the PUD. Don't really have a whole lot to follow, and we do not have the original developer's development agreement. I actually spent like 4 hours trying to find this development agreement for Fond Meadows, and there is nothing. I agreed to go with it, and there are homes currently up there that they only have 5 feet on the one side of their property. I feel they would select to follow all state, federal, county laws and codes and guidelines. Andy seemed to be in agreement with it. Fire and Life also sat on the conversation, and everybody seemed to be in agreement of it. And as a planning commission, so we're at the campus.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-10.
All right, we've got a motion from Kyle. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second from Dan, and this is a resolution, so this will be a roll call vote. Kyle,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Gina,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
and I will also vote yes. That motion carries. All right, I don't see anything I don't have anything for the mayor's report. I don't see anything for council member concerns.
Just one thing. Terry, and you get, do you guys have something that you're here for? I mean, that you need to talk? It's fine. I mean, I just didn't want you, if you were supposed to be on the list and you weren't. Okay, thanks, Sean. Yeah,
Perfect. All right.
nice seeing you.
At this point, then I would take for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion from Gina. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I think he's heard it.
Dan.
Wait,
Those
so
in favor,
Gina-
please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
That was 1.5 hours.
So white. Awesome. But I want to hear that.
I know, you know what? Oh, I'm not kidding. I just think we just keep working, we're getting better. And I think,